Rovers return to action this coming Saturday, taking on Oxford United at Ewood Park. Can Rovers maintain their pretty decent start to the season, or will Oxford cause us a bit of a banana skin? We're going to get into it, all of it, next. That's right, folks, back once again in another video today. We're going to chat with an Oxford United fan about all things Kazam Stadium related. We're going to get into it in a second. If you're new, where you been? Smash your subscribe button. Your one-stop shop for Blackburn Rovers is right here under Roverseas, of course. Been a good start for Rovers. It's also been a pretty decent start for Oxford United after they make their return to the second tier. But what are their hopes and dreams for this season? We're going to get into it in a second. A big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons. But before all that, now, before we jump into the video, something brand new to the channel. And what is it? It's the join button. That's right. We've gone there. Memberships. That's right. We've opened up the floodgates to members, so you can now join and support the channel in another way. We have our first member, so a big shout out to him. But you can also join that member and becoming an extra special member of the community. Just click on the join button, follow the on-screen instructions, and become part of the gang. So joining me today is Ian, an Oxford United fan, is, of course, back into the Championship, the second tier. So for my small corner of the YouTube universe, tell them a little bit about yourself and why on earth you support Oxford.
Oh, why on earth? Why wouldn't I support Oxford? Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me on. It's great to be here. And just a little bit about myself. I've been supporting Oxford since the early 90s. That's where I'm from originally. It goes back to obviously parents thing. My dad took me along to the first game, and me and my two brothers at the old Manor Ground, and kind of got hooked and got the bug since then. We both talked about it just off stream. We've both been through the ringers with our clubs. I mean, when I first started supporting Oxford, we were second tier, so big Championship. We've gone all the way down to the National League, nearly went out of business, and we finally got our way back up to where we started back in the second tier. So it's been a journey, a lot more downs than ups, but makes you appreciate the ups a heck of a lot more.
Yeah, and what a journey it has been as well with Oxford as well. I think they were maybe, in my eyes, I'm going to come at you unbiased, I didn't think they would be in the Championship this season when you turn the clock back 12 months ago, but they are back. Do you think Oxford United are ready to handle Championship football, and do you think they can hang on this season?
I had doubts before the start of the season. Last season was a strange one. We started it really well. Liam Manning was our manager at the time. He sort of jumped ship to Bristol City in November. We were second in the league. Des Buckingham came in, really sort of struggled with the side when he first came in, and it ended up kind of like, it looked like we were sliding down to mid-table mediocrity, got absolutely hammered by Bolton. And it just sort of, after that game, we just kind of came back a different team. He came back a different man, and we were fantastic in the final 8-9 games of the regular season. We were brilliant in the playoffs, and it was the way we played in those last few games, last few weeks of the season, that did give me hope that we could carry on and take that form into the Championship. My biggest worry was the step up in quality, whether we'd be able to handle it. So far, I think we've done all right, and I am quite optimistic that we're going to have a decent season.
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised by Oxford's start to the campaign. A good opening day win against a team we couldn't beat, and that's the Canaries, and a narrow defeat against the Coventry City side, who a lot of people have tipped for playoff promotion or what have you. So, what have you made so far from the opening couple of games for Oxford?
Well, what I was pleased to see is Oxford kind of carried on and played in the same vein that we did during the playoffs, particularly that playoff final against Bolton, where it was all about very much high energy, high pressing. Doesn't matter if you don't have a lot of the ball. It's about winning that ball back and really being quite dynamic on the counter-attack or when you've got the ball. So that was encouraging to see. I thought we were excellent in the first game against Norwich. I think we pretty much dominated that Norwich side. Coventry, I think we've seen, they for me look like what you just said as well, a real top-end Championship side. And they had players and a style of play that at times we couldn't live with. But if that's going to be what it, but at least we knuckled down and competed. And it was only the fact that Will Vauxhall played a bloody good through ball to Hadji right at the end of the game, which cost us. But so far, so far, I've been, it's been an exciting and enjoyable start, and I just hope it continues and we don't go through one of those runs where we don't win for like 20 games.
Yeah, well, it's actually been quite a hectic, I don't know, 24, 48 hours transfer-wise.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, tell me about your new additions, and you're excited for them. Are you still missing anybody any positions before the window shuts?
Yeah, I'll just answer that one first. I mean, probably a centre-back is one we do need. We're a bit light there. And you'd always like another forward. You're always greedy for another centre forward. But we did bring a forward in yesterday in Marcelino Ferdinand, who nobody will know anything about. He's a 19-year-old lad. He's coming from the Belgian league. He's an Indonesian international. He's one of those guys that everybody's looked at YouTube highlights and thinks he's like the next Messi or Ronaldo. He's a promising guy. I wouldn't imagine you're going to see too much of him in the short term. I think he's kind of a long-term project player. The other player that we bought in is Hidde Ter Evest. So it's just weird for me that Oxford are like casting their net around Europe and the world now. But he's a right back, pretty experienced player, 27 years old, who's coming from Utrecht. And I expect him to play quite a significant role, maybe not against Blackburn, but in going forward. Can play right back or left back.
All right. And from the people that are already getting minutes this season, is there somebody from a Blackburn Rovers point of view that we should be keeping an eye on? Who's going to cause us some problem? Who's going to get us off our seats with fear or worry? Who we should be worried about?
Yeah, I would say I would say you've always got to be worried about Mark Harris up front. He may not be like the most like electric goal scorer or anything like that, but his work rate is phenomenal, and he'll always give your back line like a really like hard time. He's like a pest, never stops running. The little gem that we've got in our team is Oxford United youth graduate Tyler Goodrum, who's come through in the last couple of years. He's a real special player, real special talent. And he's been playing on the wing. He can also play in number 10 role, but he's just got that little bit of stardust in his boots. Other than that, I would say if Matt Phillips plays, you've probably played against him before. He can be a difficult customer. And Cameron Brannigan just can be score goals from anywhere. And he's also added a bit of like trying to like get into the box a little bit more and finish off chances like he did against Norwich.
Brannigan is a name that we've kept an eye on and always seem to be linked with, but I think you just tied him down to a contract, I think.
Well, I'll tell you about Brannigan, which a lot of people don't realise, is like he came in under Carl Robinson when he was quite young from Liverpool, and he had a really bad eye injury to the point where he nearly went blind. And the medical staff at Oxford John Radcliffe Hospital saved his eyesight. And Oxford United kind of like did a lot in his rehabilitation. And since then, he's just been like phenomenally loyal to the club, to the point where he's always said like he never wants to leave. He loves it at Oxford. And he's been linked with like, he nearly went to Blackpool, but he turned that down on like the first day of the season a couple of seasons ago. And I don't think he's ever going to leave Oxford, because I just think he's one of those guys that just loves it and wants to just continue playing here.
Well, that's something it's quite hard to find these days. So yeah, respect to him for sticking to his guns. So Rovers, on the flip side, Rovers have started off okay, a couple of a win and a draw. Of course, it's now the Sam Smodic-less era. Is there anybody else that's caught your eye from a Rovers point of view? Someone that you might be concerned about, or maybe excited to see it in a kind of sick pleasure kind of way?
Well, I watched the game against Norwich, and I thought Gay up front, I thought his hold-up work was really good. I thought he linked up really well with Hedges. I know you got the goal from that one. The Dolan looks pretty impressive so far in that 10 role, and also the Yuki Asashi. Not sure why he didn't start the game, because he looked pretty good when he came on against Norwich as well. So I would say, from my point of view, Norwich look like they've got the weapons that can hurt Oxford, because you've got pretty good players on the counter-attack.
Yeah, it seems a different sort of. We got a bit more options now, and the Yuki is I think he was just trying to get him match ready, and right. I think eventually he will start. But He's proven to be our Ole Gunnar Solskjaer right now, scoring from the bench. So that's pretty good. But let's just say I was to give you the keys to the Kazam for one day only.
Oh, please don't. I hate the Kazam.
and you have to select the team for this coming Saturday's game. At Ewood, what would your 11 be?
Yeah. So I do think there'll be some changes from that game against Norwich. I think that we will probably play the same back five. So Jamie coming in goal, Sam Long at right back, Joe Bennett at left back, Kieran Brown, Elliot Moore skippering the side at centre back. Will Vaulks will play in that sort of holding role, and then I think we'll have Cameron Brannigan ahead of him. And I think we'll have one change in midfield. Instead of Ruben Rodriguez, I think that Idris El Masuni will come in and play in that central midfield role. I think we'll keep Goodrum Tyler Goodrum will play on the right wing. And I think that Matt Phillips will be the other change as well, coming in for Shemi Plaheta on the left-hand side. Goodrum and Phillips might play on different flanks, and Mark Harris will definitely play up front.
Okay, that sounds like a settled 11 right there. Of course, not a bad start so far for Oxford. They do take on Coventry again in the Cup repeat, but let's take a look over the next 5 games. I'll read them out to you. So just how many points do you think you can get out of the next 5 games? Rovers included. Then you take on Preston at your own place, Stoke as well. You got Bristol City away, and then Burnley at home. So quite a tasty looking next 5. Yeah. How many points do you think you can grab out of those?
I think we'd be looking at the Preston game as one where we really should get a win. I mean, they've been linked with Heckingbottom today, so you get the feeling if he comes in, they might have that new manager bounce. But hopefully that is a sort of side who I thought might be a side that might struggle this season. So we're hoping that we can pick up a win in that one. I would say Oxford will be desperate to beat Bristol City because of the Liam Manning links there. So I think we might be able to get a couple of wins out of those games. Maybe Stoke or Bristol City, one against Preston, and we'll almost certainly lose to Burnley, I would imagine. Not that you want to hear that. They just look pretty good. There's no teasing to Blackburn on that one.
Well, I'm hoping something goes wrong there at some point.
Yeah.
So what is your grand master plan then for Oxford United this season? If you were to, are you just looking at 21st in the table, or have you got bigger aspirations?
I don't think you can be too greedy with it at the moment. We waited 25 years to get back to this level. If we stayed up 21st place on goal difference, I think everybody at the end of the day would be quite happy with that, even though you'd have to go through the mire of a relegation battle. It'd be lovely if we were finished around mid-table, but just anywhere where we stay up would be great, and then hopefully build as we go forward. The long-term plan for Oxford is to get out of the Kassam Stadium, build a new stadium, which we are in the midst of doing, but the planning permission is taking forever, and one day we'll get there, but at the moment it's looking like it could be, they reckon 2026 we're going to have to stop playing at the Kassam because the lease runs out. And we don't own the ground. It's owned by our wonderful Venky style ex-chairman and ex-owner, sorry. And so if we don't get the ground done in time, it's horrible. We might have to ground share for a season or two. But then once we move into the new ground, I would imagine that stability in the championship, and then who knows? You dare to dream, don't you, of dipping our toe in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, hey, everyone's goal I think now is the Luton, do a Luton, get up there, and
it seems horrible up there though. I've lived with I worked with a lot of Sheffield United fans, and they had a horrible season last season. It was just like miserable, and you just feel like, would I really I guess I'd like to experience it, but I don't know. You feel like you'd rather be a league where you're more competitive.
Well, if you just look at the I didn't think Bournemouth would still be there. They're still there, and they're spending 40 million on the players these days. Brighton, another one. I didn't expect them to stick around and be competitive. And it's I wouldn't say it's uncommon. I'd say it's getting a little bit more common. Huddersfield Town were there for a couple of seasons. it's get once you get there, you got to do it right and not do something stupid, and then that's the tricky part. But now we're gonna mix it up a little bit, go a little bit crazy. Gonna chuck some players at you. You're gonna go which one you prefer best. There's some good ones in here from a Rovers point of view, but there is some shady characters. So we got 60 seconds, and it's kind of quick fire. So you just go this or that. Are you ready? Starting now, we're going to start with Keith Andrews and Keith Brown.
Don't really remember too many of that. Andrews.
Okay, Keith Andrews, Tony Dobson.
We'll go with Andrews again.
Keith Andrews, Simon Eastwood.
Oh, Eastwood.
Simon Eastwood.
Legend.
Joe Yeah, well, he had an okay time with Rovers. Simon Eastwood, Joe Grayson.
Grayson.
Joe Grayson, Andy Howarth.
Grayson.
Joe Grayson, Todd Kane.
Ooh. We had Todd Kane when he was really young, so I'm going to stick with Grayson.
Joe Grayson, Jack Payne.
Jack Payne.
Jack Payne, Jordan Rhodes.
Oh, Jordan Rhodes played like one game for us, but Jordan Rhodes.
Jordan Rhodes, Joe Rothwell.
Again, just because Rothwell played more Rothwell.
Joe Rothwell, Mike Salmon, if you remember that one.
I'll tell you about Mike Salmon at the end. We'll go with Rothwell.
Rothwell, that's your minute. That's your minute. So, hey, well, there's been, a lot of those early ones, Brown, Dobson, Eastwood, Grayson.
Can I just tell you about Mike Salmon?
Go for it.
Because he's largely regarded, I think it's a little bit harsh, he's largely regarded as one of the worst players to ever play for Oxford United. I think he only played one game and he was on loan, and it was when we were back, I think it was our last season in the Champions League second tier, and we were horrific that year. And I think he played one game, we lost like 7-0, and he never played again.
Okay, so I'm just going to wrap this up now here. Of course, what is the score going to be at Rovers, Ewood Park? Blackburn scoring for fun right now against Oxford United, who could be, big banana skin, literally, with yellow.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite a cagey game. I feel Blackburn won't want to kind of overcommit because they'll know that's kind of playing into Oxford's strengths a little bit. So it'll be both sides kind of trying to counter attack on each other. I have a feeling it's going to end in a draw. Gentleman's agreement, 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I wouldn't say no to that right here on a Tuesday morning, but of course when I get a little bit closer I might change my mind. But Oxford have been pleasantly surprised. They've fought well for everything so far this season, and I think there'll be it'll be a tricky time. I think we're playing at the wrong time. I'd rather play.
I would actually say, to be on the flip side of that, I think I've been quite pleasantly surprised by Blackburn. It was all doom and gloom before the start of the season. Everybody talking about the off the field issues, but I think it's just testament how John Eustace is doing a really stellar job of keeping that group of players together. Yeah,
well, I appreciate your words of wisdom, Ian, and of course, hopefully, we'll do this again when we meet again at the Kazam. Well, there you have it, folks. There you bloody have it. Big shout out to Ian for giving up a bit of his time. Of course, he is an Oxford United YouTuber. His link to his channel is down below. Also, his link to his Twitter should be in the description as well. So make sure you check his channel out. Smash the subscribe there. Also, smash the subscribe here. And of course, I hope for them to have a good season after Saturday. That's right. Of course, we need to win this game. We need to get more points on the board, and of course, give Eustace some momentum heading into what's going to be a sticky week next week with Blackpool and Burnley in a bit of a local double header. That's it, guys. Subscribe, smash the like. Catch you later. We'll see you soon. But until then, we are done.